But yeah, like I say, Fendt and a Samson, cannot beat it. Cannot beat it.
Morning, I'm Tom Coxall, owner of Five Counties Contracting Limited. We're here today in South Cambs spreading some digestate. Probably a third to half of our business is concentrated on spreading digestate. We take out of Refoods at Dagenham, Biogen at Hoddesdon, we do a bit out of Willand Biogas, Severn Trent at North London and Severn Trent at Wallingford, and then we do a bit of on-farm AD stuff, maize-based stuff for material change. Mainly we're doing the food waste digestate, which is all the first plants that I mentioned. We spread around about 400,000 cube a year. We're currently running 2 Samson PG 18s with 36 metre booms that fold down to 32, 30 and 24, and then we run a 12 metre umbilical, and that's our kit for spreading, to be fair. We used to run a veen house, Rotamax. The cost of running the machine and also the government haven't sort of carried on back in the reduced emissions into the atmosphere through ammonia N. So we've gone away from that and back to the pipe system because the drag hose has moved on so much in the last 5 years. We're now on double thick skinned Mandel's Dragman Plus, dragging 4.5 inch with 6 inch line hose to get it to the spreader. We tend to use the umbilical for emptying lagoons because there's such vast volumes and it reduces on traffic around people's farms and everything on their tracks. So and it's less compaction on the fields as well, even though it's drying up at the minute. We're doing some with tankers, but mainly our delivered and spread during the week is done with tankers just because the volumes aren't high enough to warrant sat there with umbilical systems and everything. Our fleet of tractors, we only run Fendt tractors, and we've got 5 939s, a 942, this 820 and 2 828s at the minute, but we're just swapping those out for 2 new 728s. We've just had a big change in tractors in the last 6 months just because they were all out of warranty or just getting to out of warranty. So we've just changed them because we need to keep them tractors in warranty so we know what our cost per hour is without any random big bills coming for an engine rebuild, for instance, or a gearbox or anything like that. All tractors are run on Vario grip and they're all on Fendt 1. So when one tractor has mapped a field out, for instance, that is then automatically gets sent to all the other tractors, all your AB lines, headland boundaries, inner boundaries and everything. So we try and keep it all on the same system. The only other brand we run is Case, but that's in a quad track form. So we run 2 quad tracks on the farming side. The boys love the Fendts just for ease of operation. They've got 3 computers now in the new ones. You can, in front of the steering wheel, you can have your GPS or whatever you want on that one in front of you. And you have one come out of up at the top of the cab, which comes down, which can have your GPS on, and then or your isobus implement, or you can then have that on the console as well. We've been running Fendt tractors now for 11 years, 11, 12 years, and we found that the cost of ownership has been the best out of anything we've run. For example, one of the last 939s I just sold had 18,000 hours on the clock. We bought it for 91,000 with 5,000 hours on the clock. About 6 years ago, we got a second-hand value back on it of 52,000. So that was pretty good. It had a gearbox during warranty, but we had to do an engine out of warranty. But the cost of ownership on that was less than £10 a clock hour, which was very good for us. But I think we'll see a spike now because the price has gone so high, and it's the first time round where we've ever had new tractors. Before we were buying second-hand tractors with sort of 2 to 3 to 4,000 hours anywhere. If it was the right money, we'd buy it and then extend the warranty to 8,000 hours. So this time we've chosen to go new, have them over 4 years with 8,000 hour warranty. So we'll do between 2 to 2,500 hours on a tractor a year. So hopefully when they're paid off, the warranty runs out and then we'll go again in that cycle. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever go to a different brand of tractor now because Fendt are classed as the best. Well, we think they're the best anyway, and the operators, I think if I gave them any other brand, I don't think they'd be very happy. So in terms of backup as well, we use RW Crawford's down in Essex, and they're fantastic. They've got a few really good fitters. Jonathan and Mark, they're the main ones that come to us and sort us out. I mean, literally their service is brilliant. We don't have any as good a service out of any other dealership around here, so that's why we also use Fendt, because it's not only about what brand you run, it's about the backup that you get, if you know what I mean. So generally on a week-to-week basis, we would be spreading out of Refood and Hoddesdon, for example. We'd be spreading around 4,000 cube Monday to Friday, delivered and spread to the fields. And then with the umbilical, we would be doing 7 to 10,000 cube a week out of lagoons, depending on how much rolling in and rolling out field sizes and what spread rate we're doing. Typically out of a lagoon, we'd be doing between 30 to 50 cube a hectare, depending on the time of year and what the crop is. At the moment, we're applying for 40 cube a hectare to wheat, which is giving it 140 kilos of N, and that's what the farmer wants, so hence why it depends on what we're applying. We tend to use the tankers as well at weekends to help with any fields that are across roads where we've got lagoons, to save having to roll out, use road ramps and cause problems with the public. So if it's dry conditions, we use tankers to do stuff across roads. So in order of spreading, the last couple of weeks we've been on oilseed rape. The umbilical's been on wheat because it's light footprint and you don't have to wait for it to be as dry. The tankers have been running on oilseed rape because it's dried up quicker. They're generally min-tilled or direct drilled into last year's stubble, so you're using last year's tram lines, which are already solid. So the last couple of weeks and currently today and a few more days this week, we've still got a lot of rape to get across and spread. And also it's the time of year now where by the end of this month you want to be getting all your nitrogen on your rape, or the majority of it on your oilseed rape, because it will start stem extending. And then the problem you'll have is when we go through with the tanker, we'll be knocking it down, which will then cause a yield penalty to the farmers. So at the moment, we're really concentrating on spreading on rape, and we're doing some wheat as well at the same time, where conditions allow. So started like 12, 14 years ago, just started off with a hired tractor, 2 hired tractors, a baler and a chaser. And then in 2016, Jim Sapstead came to me and said that he wanted some digestate spreading and stuff. Could we do anything? He heard I'd bought a nurse tank and a couple of Slurry cat tankers with splash plates. So, and it's really gone from there. In 2016, we started doing a bit. Then in like second half of 2016, beginning of 2017, we then had our first PG 18 Samson tanker with a 24 metre dribble bar. Then we bought a Slurry cat triaxle 24 cube. We bought 2 of them with 24 metre booms. Probably the biggest mistake I ever made, because the year I bought them, everybody then decided to go to 36 metre or 30 or 32 tram lines. So it was a massive investment and we didn't really get a lot of use out of them. We sort of had to panic buy, and that's where we went to Samson, the bigger ones, the PG 28s, and we had our first one in summer of 2020. We had our first one in COVID. Then the second one came in May 21. So they're actually due for replacement this time, and we're going to have 2 new fresh tankers at the end of this season. But we'll go to 31 cube this time, just a little bit bigger, just because the 28 takes a full lorry load. But sometimes if you're coming to the end of the field and you've got a cube or something left in, you can't then empty the lorry. So the drivers then having to go back down the next tram line to get rid of 1 cube, go to the end and come back, and it's just to try and be a bit more efficient and save a bit of time. So that's sort of the time scale with the digestate and everything. And then the straws just sort of carried on, scaled it up a bit, got to running 4 balers on my own, doing power station contracts. And then when was it? It was Christmas 2021. Pretoria Energy came to me and said, look, we'd like to buy your straw. We're going to put straw into our AD plants and build some more AD plants. So sort of didn't renew my power station contract in 21, and then 22 started baling in a joint venture in a new company called Genesis Biomass with Pretoria. And now we're currently running 12 8-string balers and 10 chasers, and all the straws going into their own AD plants. So that's in a joint venture with them, and I'm a percentage shareholder and director of that company as well. That's that. And then the farming, we sort of started 2018 really, renting a bit of ground, and then it's sort of gone from there, and now we're contract farming for other people. renting a bit more land as well. And then we're also using the digestate as fertiliser for our customers in contract farming agreements and where we rent land. So we're using this organic fertiliser as well as we do still spread solid fertiliser as well, because we can't be everywhere at once. So that's really the timeline on everything really. And then in 2020 I also bought Ripper Farms lorries and tankers, which was 4 tankers and 3 lorries. And then today we've got 4 lorries and 8 tankers, and we have some subbies pull the other tankers. As of June this year, touch wood, we've hopefully got 6 second-hand Scania R450s coming. So that'll bring us up to 10 lorries, and we'll have 2 on bulkers probably and 8 on tankers. So that's sort of like the big scale up for this year coming in 2025, is that we're going to, because I've got an O licence for 10 lorries now, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to scale the lorry job up. We're going to start with second-hand lorries, just the price of new ones and how quickly they depreciate. That's why we're sort of chosen to go down the second-hand route, and it's the less cost per day of running, so the day rate doesn't need to be as much to afford running the lorries. And that's really where we're going, and we'd like to increase on the farming side. We're going to quote for a couple more AD plants this summer, which doesn't then start till the following summer, but we'll just see how that goes. One's sort of a 60,000-70,000 cube job and another one's a 50,000 cube job, so we'll just see how we get on. We'll do the tender process and hopefully we're fortunate enough to crack on with it. It's hard because we don't have an overdraft. Sort of, I don't take any money really personally out of the business at all really, just a minimal wage. I've got a council farm as well. I took that on in November 21, so I'm fortunate enough that my council farm, the house comes with the farm, so that's sort of paid in the rent of the business and everything, so that's what's made that a bit fortunate for me. But literally every penny we make gets reinvested at the moment, so I'm hoping in sort of like 5 or 10 years time that, you know, we're not having to chuck as much money in, and I can maybe have a nice holiday or something and, you know, maybe have some benefits back out of it. But I do, when you're in contracting and farming, like, it's a way of life, and the thing with it is I love the machinery as much as all the lads do really. Although they're a tool to generate money, like, I would never go and buy a cheap tractor that's always going to break down. We always try and buy the best with what has the best backup for the guys as well, because like without all the lads that work for me, I wouldn't have a business. So we sort of buy the machinery that they like, try and buy the best machinery as well that everybody likes using and gets the job done to the most efficient way possible really. So yeah, that's how we've sort of, when you say manage growth, it's hard when you get offered an opportunity to not take it. So sometimes we're firefighting with cash flow and things like everybody, and sometimes we can be a little bit late, 60 or 90 days on paying a bill, and that's just through sometimes other people not paying as well, if you know what I mean. So it's just all a massive like juggling act, if you know what I mean. We're quite fortunate with like the digestate, where we have the removal contracts with the lorries. They do tend to pay like weekly, which helps with the cash flow. Obviously the biggest sticking point for me on the growth has been where we rent land, and then you're paying the rent, you're paying the fertiliser, the seed, the chemicals and everything, and funding doing all the cultivations, and then you have to sit on that for a year until you get your money back. Where we've taken on, you know, maybe 500 or 600 acres in the last year on renting, it's sucked up a lot of cash, and it's been very hard, and it's one thing you don't see straight away until you're sort of 6-7 months down the line, and then you get to harvest and you're like, blimey, we need to get some money coming in here. And generally you don't want to sell at harvest because the prices are low, and the merchants know that people need to get rid of corn, so we're trying to sell it October, November onwards really, when the price is sort of another 10 or 15 quid higher, because at the end of the day that could be the difference with making profit and not making profit. For us it's just, yeah, as I say, managing opportunities, taking the right opportunities and going from there really. So the reason I started was because my dad's always been a farm manager, and I grew up at home, went to Harper Adams, worked on the farm at home in summer and, you know, holidays and everything. And I just said to my dad I'd like to have a go at doing something myself, and he was like, oh, you're crazy, the money and everything, and then sort of just had a go and gone from there really, if you know what I mean. That was the reason really, just been in love with farming all my life. And then fortunately, like last year where Dad was farm manager, that got sold and investors bought it. We've managed to maintain the farm keep going with it, and we've got it under a contract farming agreement. So like now, Dad's come to work with me and my brother in the company, and he's doing some agronomy along with Jim Sapstead, and he's also doing some tractor driving and spraying, and he'll drive one of the combines in the summer. So it's been quite an interesting up and down journey the last 14, 15 years, but it's quite nice that I'm able to work with my dad and brother as well, if you know what I mean. And you know, Dad's coming towards the end of his career, although he's only 63, he's got a lot of energy still, and he's quite keen to work. So we'll see how he gets on over the next sort of 7 years, if you know what I mean. See what he's like when he gets to 70 and see how keen he is. But yeah, we'll keep him going as long as he wants to as well, really. It's great, isn't it? Because they love it all as much as I do, really. Like, my brother loves it, and my dad's taught us both since we were like young lads, if you know what I mean. So it's just part of that, and we do get on. I know like people have difficulties within family businesses and they argue and that, but we don't really tend to argue. We might have a couple of heated moments throughout the year where everyone's tired, but generally we all get on well, you know, and that's half the battle, and we enjoy what we do, and we all want the same end goal, if you know what I mean.
Name's Ivan. Work for Coxall, Tom Coxall. Just out here with one of our spreaders today, spreading a bit of rape. Samson PG 2, 28 cube tanker, 36 metre booms. Got the old GRASSMEN out with us today, so you'll be following us about and seeing what we're up to, I suppose. So we've got a plant in Dagenham that we look after, which is down sort of London way, probably about a good 50 odd mile cart. So we got 7 lorries on there today, carting back to us here, so it'll probably taken them a good 2-hour, 3-hour round trip to get to us. So yeah, steady old day, but we're definitely keeping busy, so cracking on, keeping her lit. So I joined in January last year, so yeah, year and a bit now. Started off with the umbilical, doing bits and bobs of that with the old V-House, which we're not currently using. Gone back to the dribble bar, and then went for the summer and the baler, and then now the joys of running this rig. Absolutely love it. It's it's brilliant. Great piece of kit. You get to see all how the crop does throughout the year and whatnot. Where we first started spreading on it the first time and then going over it with another pass, and you see a difference. Also, another great thing is doing this job. You get the hours in, so you're out 5 in the morning, out till 6, 7 in the evening. So yeah, no, it's brilliant. Get left to it pretty much most times. Get the odd phone call from Tom, how you getting on, and that, so can't really complain. There is a spreading ban, which I'm sure most of you are probably aware of it. I can't remember exactly what date it is, but yeah, so we're allowed to spread from January till October, and then after that, spreading's a no-go. So we'll be in the yard stripping the tankers down, doing maintenance on them. So that'll be the 2 sort of 3-ish months of the year that they'll be in the yard, getting a sort of a full-on overhaul type thing, just so when the season comes again, we go out and there's less downtime, no breakdowns, because there's nothing worse when you've got 7, 10 lorries on the job or whatever, and then all of a sudden you've got a breakdown and all of them are sat there, at $7.50 a day for each lorry. That soon does add up. So during the winter, it'll be pretty much a variation of things, really. But yeah, it'll be mainly maintenance on these, and then wherever else needs doing. So yeah, it's not just this. So it'll be a bit of a machinery maintenance and that sort of jazz, a bit of workshop stuff, some estate management. So there's, like I say, there is plenty to keep busy around this place. Not really many people around here that have these sort of outfits that we have. So yeah, I think he's done very well in getting into where he is now with the spreading, and it seems to be becoming a lot more of a popular thing recently. It's just an alternative fertiliser. I think also the cost of it compared to your normal fertiliser, I think it's absolutely great. Yeah, like I say, it's becoming more of a big thing now, but I suppose we can only just wait and see what happens in the future with it, really, with for example fertiliser costs and all this. I know I don't really follow it too much now, really, but I know there's some new regulations coming in about what you can and can't spread fertiliser wise. it's got to have a certain something in it for ammonia or whatever it is. I don't really follow it too much, but I'm sure when you speak to Tom will know all the ins and outs of it. Sometimes farmers don't want the tanker on their farm, but then other people don't mind it. It helps us with, because obviously we tip in the lagoons during the winter when we're not spreading, so the tankers will mainly be out with the lorries, and then the umbilical will go round all the farmers that have the lagoons, and they will basically empty the lagoons out, and then the tankers will just sort of stay on the lorry work. But then also weekends, or you know, if we need a lagoon empty or something and the tanker has got a day where we're not running with lorries, probably mainly just weekends really, the lorries with the tacos and the driving hours and all that jazz, we will go out with the tanker and spread out of a lagoon ourselves, which we did do over the weekend. Funny enough, the lagoon's literally 2 fields across from where we are now. Again, spraying on a bit of rape just to help out a bit kind of thing. The umbilical was there, but obviously having a tanker there, just get a bit more output done in a day. Also where the fields were across the road, it also just meant that with the umbilical, they weren't having to drag any pipe across the road, which, as you can imagine, it probably wouldn't take very much to wreck pipe if you're having to run it across the road and you're having ramps and cars driving over it, and yeah, it's just not really the cheapest option, having pipe wrecked. The trouble around here, there is a mixture of land. You've got your heavy clay, your chalk, your light ground, you've got all sorts around here. Perfect example, up at Tom's house, up in Burwell, up in Cambridgeshire. There's, what, 600 odd acres up there, I believe, and that's all light, chalky ground. So if it's a wet day, literally it'll be everyone go to Tom's house, get the tanker there, get the plough. We've had it before where I've been up there spreading, it's been wet, literally been spreading, an hour or two later, plough comes in behind me, turns the fire over, it is bone dry. So yeah, there is an absolute total mixture of soils around this area. Run this with a Fendt 939, it's one of the new Gen 7s, absolute brilliant tractor, cannot fault it whatsoever. We had an old 2018 S4 on this before, and the difference between the two, it's absolutely unbelievable. A, how much more comfortable these are, the power and the torque that these have. Obviously they don't have a 4-wheel drive no more. Well, I say that, they do, but you don't have your standard 4-wheel drive sort of button. All you got now is your diff lock. It's all done off a computer or whatever it is, but yeah, it is a game changer. So the tanker's a Samson tanker, it's a PG2, holds 28 cubes, so it will hold exactly a lorry load. So we've got the SHB 4 booms on these tankers, and they have a capability of doing, well, they're 36 metre booms, but they have the capability of doing 36, and then they can be folded down to 32, and then folded down again to 30, and then split in half to do 24 metres. So when we go to different customers with different tram lines and different setups, we can cater to whatever the tram line width is for them. So that works really, really well for us. But yeah, like I say, Fendt and a Samson, cannot beat it. Cannot beat it.
Yeah, so the Nuhn, that was bought through my other company, Genesis Biomass, because Pretoria have got a 60,000 cube lagoon their end, and I went to one of my business partners, Steve, and just said to him, look, I think we ought to buy a Nuhn. 5 counties contracting, can't afford to buy it on our own. Shall we buy it under Genesis, hire it to 5 counties, hire it to Pretoria? And so looked into it, went through it all with Steve, the costings of it and everything. Rang Nuhn, or sent Nuhn, an email one evening last January 24. Interested in a Nuhn, how much to import it into the UK. They came back with the figures. We'd done a deal there in January. Actually, it come in March. So they were 6-7 weeks building it, because it's their quiet period over there this time of year. So the turnaround was really quick to getting it. I think it come middle to end of March, last year. Come in a container. Luckily Pretoria have got their own cranes on site and everything that they use within their AD business. We got it lifted out, all the axles and wheels on it, and we put it it to work within 4 or 5 days of having it, and we've never looked back. We've had one issue with it. It was actually out of warranty because it had done more than 1,000 hours, but fair play to Nuhn, because it's the first one in Europe and in the UK. They literally stood by it and picked the bill up. It was like a 25 grand bill as well, where the hydraulic pump had gone down on it and wrecked itself. Basically, we've bought that. I use it for stirring my customers' lagoons and bits. Pretoria use it for stirring their own lagoon as well. And then we've been going round last year as well. You know, people have seen it on social media and stuff where we've been, you know, promoting it with videos and stuff. We're going round stirring people's big lagoons that they can't stir properly, that have gone solid, to try and get them their full storage capacity back, you know, for winter time. But also we can put it inside digesters, so they take like the tank lid off, and we can, if there's a crane on site, get it craned in, and then remote controller use it, and it'll blast up all the solid in the digester tanks, and then you can suck it out with lorries rather than suck the liquid off, then put a bobcat inside, scoop it into skips, and then crane those out. A very long-winded process, whereas literally cheaper option would be put the Nuhn in, stir it all up, blast it up, suck it out with lorries, spread it straight to land. So those are sort of the services we offer. We don't offer it where we hire it direct to people. It's always with an operator, because it's such an expensive piece of machinery, and you need to be skilled to use it and know what you're doing. And if anything went wrong, it's under our jurisdiction, then, you know, it's our problem. That's what we do. We hire it out with an operator so much a day, and the customer puts the diesel in. So on the Nuhn, you've got like a massive pump on the bottom of it, an impeller pump on the bottom of it, and it's all on 8-inch pipework, and it's got a jet at the front, a main jet which you can use for blasting crusts, and then it's got a jet on either end and underneath for agitating the lagoon. So the pump pumps it up, goes through 8-inch pipework, and then it blasts back out round and basically just stirs the whole lagoon up. Also, it can do it on its own, because when you put it in, you map out the lagoon, you drive round it or float round it on the inside, and you put what they call a GPS fence around it, map it out, and then put it into auto, and it will stir itself. The battery on it on the controls lasts 5 hours, so that's the reason you have to have someone there as well, just in case something goes wrong, and also to change the battery. It uses 2 batteries a day roughly, the controls do. So, but yeah, and then it's all operated. You can do things manually on it, you know, side to side. It'll change direction on its own. It does everything on its own. It's great, to be fair. Yeah, it has been a good purchase, to be fair, and hopefully going forward, you know, the popularity of it will, you know, the demand for it will increase. We'll end up getting some more work with it. At the moment, to be fair, it's fairly flat out. You know, it's probably at 90% of its capacity, especially this time of year where we're trying to get our own storage and everything empty. And maybe in the future, depending on demand on it, we'll maybe have to purchase a second one, if you know what I mean. But we'll just have to see how we go. Well, the trouble is like I said earlier, it's knowing when to take an opportunity and when not to, because you can get yourself in a pickle, if you know what I mean. And that's the biggest advice, really. I mean, and working out what cash it's going to drain out of the business to take that opportunity on, and just make sure everything you do is calculated. Whereas before, when I was a lot younger, you just take it on regardless of anything, really, and you just try your best. That's the biggest advice I'd give, really. The other thing is obviously now, if I had to start from scratch like I did 15 years ago or whatever, I probably wouldn't be able to do it, because when I first started, went to the bank, got a 30 grand bank loan for the summer. I ran 2 hire tractors, a baler and a chaser. Well, to hire a baler back then was 11 grand for the season. A chaser was 9 grand, I think, or 8 grand. And a tractor, a 7930 at the time, which is 220 horse from memory, 240 horsepower, something like that, was, I want to say, we paid £550 a week for it. That was 15 years ago, and today, for that sort of horsepower, you'd be paying well over £1,500 a week, I should imagine. And and diesel, obviously back then as well, was like 30p a litre, whereas today it's like 70. Labour, back then, you could get people 15 years ago for £7 an hour. Now, you can't get anybody for 12 or 13 quid. You know, it's all more money. So in terms of like cash, you'd need to borrow probably twice, if not 3 times the amount of money to get started. And it's and then the bank would see it as very high risk, especially like when you don't have anything behind you, like a house or, you know, a farm behind you, to put the loan against, if that makes any sense. When I first started, my first start out really, the first 5 years was very difficult because I was only 22 years old. You're sort of out there battling on your own, and my first company went a bit wonky, if you know what I mean, and I learned a lot from it, to be fair. A lot from it. So yeah, probably when I first started, if I was as old and as wise as I am now, I'd have made a lot of different decisions back then really. But no, going forward, hopefully things will be good. The beauty of what we do is that we're some farming, contracting, haulage and everything. Like if one's bad, the other two might be good, sort of like in terms of risk, because we got fingers in different pies. Some things will help pay for others. You know, we haven't yet had a year where everything's brilliant, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's the beauty of what we do, having a diverse sort of contracting business really. Favourite thing about the job is probably dealing with customers. Although dealing with farmers, I really enjoy that. I enjoy the machinery and I enjoy working with the blokes as well. And we do generally have quite a good crack. We're probably, my longest guy's been with me, because when I originally started it was only me and one other person. And then when we sort of got bigger and went into the digestate, a lad, Paul Sands, came along, and he's been with me the longest, and I think he's here 10 years now. When we take main operators on, they have actually like stayed. Nobody's moved on. It's only been younger lads that have sort of moved on, the heroes of this world, you know, the Red Bull Kings, as you call them. You know, they're the only people that have sort of come, been a flash in the pan sort of thing. Whereas like I say, all the main tractor drivers have sort of stayed, so we can't be too bad a place to work, hopefully, touch wood, or I haven't got any wood to touch. But so that's also last summer we've got Matthew from Bluebird Media, who does a lot of our like promotional stuff. He does a lot of our advertising, you know, on Instagram and TikTok, and he sort of manages that side of it. I sort of said to him last summer, I think we should start up a YouTube video, or he said to me, one or the other, and sort of between us and my brother and that, we've sort of had a go last August. We did August, September and October, a little bit in November. Then it got quite busy. Didn't do so much in November actually, because it was such a mad rush to get drilled up. We didn't do anything over Christmas, and then we started again in January, and it's we've got some work off the back of it with the tree shear and everything. And yeah, it's just trying to promote yourselves using media, because unless you get your name out there, you don't know what other opportunities could come along, because you don't really know what people know about your company and what you do. So that's why we've done it. So if you haven't seen our YouTube channel yet, it's Coxalls, Coxalls, and have a watch, see what you think. We post a weekly video. Yeah, hit the subscribe button, it's free to subscribe. I think we've got about 3,600 subscribers now, so we'd like to keep building on that. But yeah, the more and more people that see it and see what we do, and hopefully they're impressed with what we do, maybe there'll be some more opportunities come in the future. So also, if you're subscribing to Coxalls, make sure, if you haven't subscribed to GRASSMEN as well, make sure you give them a good look as well, and hit the subscribe. As I say, it's free to subscribe to all YouTube channels, to be fair.